Howdy guys, and welcome back. Once again, we're back on my survival single player world, and I want to build a ship. So I went on Google and I started pulling up pictures of ships. I found this one. Not real happy with the color, but I do like the shape. I feel like the control tower is just not very big compared to what I want. I'd like to have one a little bit closer to this size, but having the two pictures at least gives me some ideas to work with. I believe this is called a coaster class of ship. I'm not absolutely sure that this one fits into this one. This one might actually be a little bit bigger, but gets the point across. I like the way the anchors go up in there. I don't see any way I could get that in Minecraft, but we're going to give it a try. So I went ahead and went underwater and found a piece of kelp sticking up and was able to go off of that to get my first blocks in place. And I'm using red terracotta, and I've gone out to the desert and gotten quite a bit of it. And I have just terracotta as well. And with the iron farms, I can always get the poppies for the red dye. So you go ahead and dye out the terracotta. So I've got the platform down underneath the water, which is just laying out the general shape of the ship. And now I'm going to start adding layers until I get to the up to the surface. So one of the issues that I have is I don't know where my sponges are. And I've done some looking around before that. Oh, wait, what is this back here? Oh, that's a great looking mountain. I wonder who built that there. Is that natural? It looks so natural. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It even has ice on top. You'd almost think we're in 118 or something. All right, so we're going to start adding the next layer down and just building up closer to the surface. And I've given myself that regular terracotta strip down the center to show where the center is. I love the fact that the axolotls are swimming around this whole thing, killing all the glow squid and the drowns that are bothering me. So they're fun, but I think they're going to change that, and they're not going to spawn like in the ocean quite as often. So if you want some axolotls around, make sure you go and get them now. Put them in buckets so you've got them. So making the corner here, just kind of getting the general shape of the ship laid out. So a little bit of backstory here. I wanted to build this ship on a multiplayer server that I was paying to be on, and they just wouldn't let me. They kept asking for people to build things out in Modern District, and I said I'd love to build a ship. And we went round and round and round for over a month trying to get this ship okayed, and no one would sign off on it. And I'm finally like, you know what? I'm just going to build it on my world. I'll get to look at it every day, and I'll be happy with it. And I like building ships. I just like building in Minecraft general, but at this point we need sponges. So I have searched high and low for sponges over at my other base, and this is kind of my bulk storage up here. And I've taken down a couple of ocean monuments in the past, so I've got a bunch of the stuff from there. And it's like, okay, so let's start searching every shulker box, because now I have searched all the bulk storage, all of my regular storage, and I can't find sponges. I could have sworn I had sponges, but I'm not finding them. I don't know what happened to them, if I even had them in the first place. And I find these, and no, that's horn coral blocks. They're yellow, they look like sponges, but they don't work like sponges. So it's now time to go and locate some sponges in the wild, because I'm not finding any, and I really don't feel like filling in that whole ship with sand, which was an option, but that's just kind of annoying. So I kind of have passed a couple of monuments out here, and I know that this one exists, but I've already rated this one pretty good, and this doesn't have any sponge rooms at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my Nautilus shell thing and conduit, conduit, and get some of the blocks so that I can set up conduit up elsewhere. So I find a couple of geodes, but that is not the mission. I just have to mark their location and come back there later. So I find this monument, it has not been rated. I put up my conduit, and I kill off the first Elder Guardian and the second Elder Guardian, and I still don't know if this place has a sponge room or not. It seems like I rated 3 of them that didn't in this world, so I'm hoping that this one has a sponge room. I get the stupid, can't mine blocks effect. But this is the third Elder Guardian. And even with 3 sponges, I could probably train that ship's hull. It would just take me a while, but fortunately I run into this. It's a sponge room, and I wind up with 32 grand total, which is enough. So that's the last one, and now I can go drain the hull of the ship proper. So there's 30. There's actually 2 more hiding in one of the corners. And check this out. The kelp is like not attached to anything. I just thought that was so odd. So I've dried them out, and I'm going to start draining this. Now this llama has been here, I mean, since I started this world. He's been out in this ocean floating around, and now he's finally got his forever home, which is inside of my ship. So I'm going to go ahead and partition off inside the hull and then drain each section. Which, if you do this right, it doesn't require a bunch of sponges, but if you do it wrong, it requires like 6. And right now I do it wrong, but that's okay. It's just a couple of extra sponges to dry out. And I set my furnaces up right there so that it becomes a pretty quick and convenient way to dry them out. So that's what it looks like now that it's dried out and all the partitions are out of it. So that's the shape of the hull. But we obviously need to go up from there, and I'm just kind of building this thing as I go, and occasionally I'll go and look at the pictures of the other ships and then fly back and take a look at what I've got, because you really can't tell what it looks like up close and personal like that. Right here, I'm noticing kind of a mistake, and that's that the bow of the ship is a little bit too far back, and I need to bring that up some. Like in relation to the picture, it just didn't look right. So I think that's going to be a little closer to the actual mark. So I'm going to do that on both sides if I could just get out of the ship that I just fell down into. It occurs to me that sponges would be a much, much better currency on Minecraft than diamonds. Diamonds are cheap. You can find them everywhere. Sponges, like, man, you really got to work to get them. Anyway, as I'm building, I'm kind of designing the palette as I go. So I might get a block and see if it works well with the ship, and then realize, like, no, that it just isn't going to work. It just doesn't look right. So put stone up here to kind of mimic like a steel deck, and I think that that works pretty well. But I'm undecided on what I should use for the lids of those storage tanks, if you will, in the middle of the ship. And the other thing is, I'm realizing that I'd like to do a bunch of white, and obviously quartz is the weapon of choice for getting a nice white block. However, I don't have a villager trading hall, so I'm going to have to go out to the end and get a lot of quartz, which is what I do. And the other thing is, I'd like to have some end rods, so that's why I've got the little chorus fruit farm going on down there, and using up the quartz. But I'm going to make this a stone quartz. It's a little bit cheaty. It doesn't have to be solid quartz, because you'll never see the center anyway. And this is kind of the mast thing that goes up in the middle. I'm guessing it's actually cranes that come off of this for loading and unloading the storage tanks. And I'm just kind of deciding on how high to make it and how far out to bring these beams. And just making it up as I go. If I don't like something, I'll stop and change it. So I've got the steering area, whatever you want to call it, like the main part of the ship where the bedrooms are and that sort of thing. It's pretty much built. I don't have much inside of it yet, but at least it's getting started. So there's the mast thing in the center. Of course, it's raining, because it's always raining in Minecraft. And I've got the front mast and the communications things and the radar on top of it, and it's really starting to look like a ship. I'm pretty happy with it. The other thing I did was like hang chains down with cauldrons on them for the crane, just to make it look like, like the rigging that they would use to attach things on. I've got the lifeboat on the side there, done out of orange terracotta, and then inside I've done a little bit in here. This is just a lower floor, I don't know, maybe like a kitchen area. And I did not put pressure plates there, so I've got to go around. And I'm using the stone cutter. Finally figured out like how to use the thing, and that's what I was using to cut the quartz. This is the crew quarters up in here, like the bunk room. And I am lighting up as I go, just because I don't want mobs inside this thing. And now we go up into the steering area, and my time on a real ship, they had like 2 little bump outs on either side of the center. And I'm thinking it's actually for like maneuvering the ship, like up close to a dock, so that they can kind of get out closer to the side, so they can see down the side of the ship. And of course they have one on either side, so that if they're pulling up to the dock on the left or the right, they could see down either side. And then above, we have the radar things. So I'm just going to fly back and take one more look from a distance here. Oh, the anchors, yeah. So the anchors have like the spool things up top, and they go down through those upside down stairs. It kind of looks like the opening that they go down through. Thought that was pretty nifty. And then of course, I can't jump over this fence, but the anchor itself is just the cauldron down there, hanging by the chain. So up here on the roof, we've got the radar, which that thing would go round and round, and then we've got the like the CB or whatever shortwave radio antennas. So I think the ship sets the end of the bay off quite nicely and gives us something to look at from the castle instead of looking out at the mob farms. And I think it turned out pretty darn cool. I had a lot of fun building this one, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and catch you next time. Have a good night.